What's up YouTube, this is URC Shadow, and welcome to my 8th video in this tips and tricks series. And seeing as GTA 5 was released on the PS4 yesterday, in this video we're going to be taking a look at the controls that I think might cause you a bit of an issue if you're used to the PS3 version, as well as showing you some of the new things you can do that are in the PS4 version of the game. Now whilst this video will be PS4 specific, a lot of it will be applicable to the Xbox One version as well, however I can't guarantee everything will be. So in this video we're not going to go through things like new cars and new weapons or anything like that. There's plenty of other videos on YouTube where you can find all that sort of stuff out. This is more the subtle changes to controls and options that you may stumble across when you first get the game and want to know how to put back to its original setting. So firstly we're going to be starting in story mode. As you can see we've got Franklin here, and the first thing is the whole auto aim, quick aim, target cycling. There's loads of different names for it, but basically in the PS3 and Xbox 360 versions it was called traditional GTA. And what that let you do is it let you take aim at an enemy, kill them, and then with a slight movement of the right hand analog stick you could then lock onto the next target and fire again without having to come out of aim and back in. So as before, you can only change this particular setting in the single player mode. For some reason it's still greyed out in the online mode. So to do that you're going to want to pause the game, you want to go to settings, then to controls, and you want to change your target mode from what is probably assisted aim partial or free aim, and you want to change it to assisted aim full. So basically on the PS4 it's no longer called traditional GTA like it was on the PS3, it's called assisted aim full. Once you've done that, we'll head online and we'll look at some of the other settings that are new to this version of the game. So here it is, GTA 5 on the next gen in all its glory. So I'm quickly going to get us to an area where it's pretty safe for me to blow some stuff and shoot some stuff without attracting attention from the police. Okay, so the first thing, drive-by shooting. This caught me out the first time I tried to play Rooftop Rumble. So basically, when you try and shoot from within the car, you'll notice I've got the cursor, but that's all that's happening. It's not shooting. And as I say, this really confused me the first time I did it. So what you have to do under the default setting is, once you're aiming with the L1 button, you then have to hold R1 to fire. Some people might be going, that's perfect, that's what I've been waiting for this entire time, I'm fed up of having to shoot and aim at the same time. Other people are like, oh, that's 2 extra buttons I'm going to have to be pressing whilst trying to drive. So there is the option to change it back. You can go to the start menu, go to settings, go to controls, and then down the bottom there's a drive-by control type option. Default is aim plus fire, and you want to change that if you want to go back to the old PS3 way, just change it to fire. So like I say, there's pros and cons for either way, but whichever's up to you. I personally didn't like it, and I prefer the old PS3 version just because it's less hassle, less buttons to be pressing whilst you're doing it. So anyway, that's that one. Right, next one. This is really cool, this is a new feature. So when you're aiming with a gun, by swiping up on the, the pressure pad, the touch pad of the PS4 controller, you can throw a grenade. And it's going to be a grenade or sticky or tear gas. It's whatever you've currently got selected in the grenade sector of your weapon wheel. So if you change this to sticky and then do the same, it will throw out a sticky, and of course I can then press left or right, I can't remember which one it is, to explode it whenever I want. So this is a cool little feature. It means you don't have to switch to grenades or stickies to throw them and then go back to your weapon. You can do it on the fly. You can't turn it off either, but then why would you? It's an extra feature and it can only be a good thing. Next one, sniper rifle. This is going to annoy the hell out of you the first time you come up against this. So, we're all used to using a sniper rifle and then to zoom in, holding forward on the left stick, right? Well, that doesn't work like that anymore. Holding on the left stick, you'll notice, will just move you forwards and backwards and move you left and right. So to aim, or to zoom in and zoom out, you actually want to press up and down on the D-pad. At first, couldn't stand this, thought it was a terrible idea and it was just going to get more confusing. However, when you think about it, under the old system, when you were aiming with a sniper rifle, you were rooted to the spot. You could swivel on the spot and face different directions, but you couldn't move, which meant when you were on a one-on-one with somebody else and you're having a little sniper battle, you were really vulnerable anytime you were aiming because you couldn't move as well. Under the new system, it means you can move and zoom in at the same time, it's just more buttons to press. However, if you do want to change it back, that's pretty simple. You just press start, go to settings, go to controls, and then down the bottom there's a option called allow movement with sniper. Default will be on, but you can change that to be off, and that will put it back to the old PS3 mode where zooming in and out is on the left hand analog stick rather than the D-pad. Okay, next one, the select menu. As you've probably noticed if you've got a PS4, there is no select button anymore. So how do we get the select menu up, which you should probably start calling interaction menu, as that's its proper name? Well, you basically treat the touchpad, the entire touchpad, as the select button. So you hold that down to bring up the menu. And in there you'll find the usual options. There is an extra option I've noticed, which is called walk style. Again, it's not going to make a massive difference, but for some people they might like to modify the way they walk. So just to quickly go through those, you've got normal, which is this. In fact, hang on a sec, let me get rid of the weapon, just so you can see it a bit better. So you've got Femme, which I guess if you've got a female character you might want to use. You've got Gangster. You've got Posh, which doesn't look much different to standard. You've got Tough Guy, basically he's swinging his arms and he's got a bit of a bowl on him. And Normal, which again, Tough Guy is pretty much the same as Normal. So, as far as I'm concerned, I'll just stick it with Normal. But there's another option there if you want it. Okay, what's next? Right, ducking in car. So this is a new one. When you're in the car, I'm not sure if this works in the passenger side, but it definitely works in the driver's side. You can basically hold X to duck. Now I tried this out when I had the police chasing me. It doesn't stop the police seeing you in your car or anything. I think it's purely designed to help you avoid bullets and taking headshots when you're in the car. And what this probably is most likely designed for is, as you're probably aware, when you're driving directly at someone online, they'll simply lock onto you through your windscreen and kill you outright before you even get a chance to run them over. So I think the idea behind this is you can hold X as you're trying to run someone over. It will duck your head down and it will make it much harder for the person you're trying to run over to actually shoot you before you hit them. Haven't tested it in anger yet, but that seems to be the logical use for it. Okay, next one. So, as default, the game uses something called in-depth game effect. And what that means is if you notice I'm aiming at something close nearby, and you can see all the background is blurred out. So just like real life in a way, when you're looking at something, you're focused in on that, and everything further away is blurry. This seems like a really clever feature. However, I personally don't like it, simply because if you're dealing with multiple targets in a firefight, you want to be able to see them all in as good a resolution as you can. You don't want to be aware there's some people in the background but not really be able to see them until you aim at them. So for me personally, I turn it off, but it does make the game look prettier. It does add that extra level of realism, but you know, you've got to weigh up realism versus how competitive you are and how much of a disadvantage you want to set yourself. So personally, I'm going to turn it off. Again, it's nice and easy to turn off. Basically press start, and I should stop calling it start, it's options, isn't it? It's the options button on your controller. Go to settings, this time go to display, and then towards the bottom you've got something called in-game depth of field effects. As default that will be on. You can turn that off to get rid of the effect, and as you'll see, what this now means is if I aim at the container next to us, the tree in the background and the satellite dishes and all the rest of it are still in full resolution. There's no difference, no blurring occurring. Okay, next one, your controller speaker. So I only got a PS4 recently, and it was a bit of a shock the first time I realised there's actually a speaker in all the PS4 controllers. In GTA 5 it's used for any kind of sound effect that would normally be in your ear, I guess, in the game. So for example, when you're on the phone, when you have a missile lock, when you're in a helicopter or a laser, the sound will come out of your controller rather than out the TV or whichever output you've got for the rest of the game. Personally, I don't like that, it gets a bit annoying, and I'm pretty sure contribute to lowering your battery life of your controller a little bit. So again, that can be turned off, and to do that you go to settings, go to audio, and 2/3 of the way down you've got a controller speaker option. Default will be on, but you can turn that off if you need to. There's also a volume as well. If you like it but it's a bit too loud or it's a bit too quiet, you can adjust the volume there. Okay, sticking with the whole phone thing. Next one is the phone. So as standard now, the default is the background of your phone is going to be your crew emblem. To be honest, not sure what the background is going to be if you're not in a crew. Feel free to let me know in the comments. However, depending on the design and colours of your crew emblem, you may find you can't actually tell what icons are on the screen. So there's loads and loads of different options you can choose from. So to do that, you need to go to settings within the phone, which is the grey cog icon on the right hand side. Go to background, and you've got loads of different options. Some of them make it better, some of them make it worse. Personally, I like the one called Diamonds. as that's a nice clean background that lets you see all the icons on the phone without much difficulty. Also in these settings you've got some other stuff as well. You've got invite sound, so that's when someone sends you an invite, if it chimes or whatever the word be. I think the default of that's on anyway. Ringtone, you've got the same standard ringtones you had before. Snapmatic, I think this option was in the phone on previous patches, but basically allows you to turn the quick launch off or on. If you're not aware, it's when you double tap up, might be hold, but I'm pretty sure it's double tap up. It'll go straight to the camera view rather than your phone, which can get really annoying, especially when you're mid-mission. So personally, I leave that off. And the last option is to change the general colour theme of the phone. You've got green, red, grey, blue, pink, a few other colours. Personally, I like orange. Okay, so lastly, and this is the big one, obviously this is one of the big ticket items for the new next-gen GTA 5, first person mode. So if we press the touchpad in, we'll change view, and we circle around until we get to the in-game view. And this is what it looks like. Don't expect the same sort of fluid, nice turning that you get in other games like COD or Destiny. It's a bit more, what's the word, juttery, might be fair, but it looks really nice. I'm going to tell you now, I don't plan to actually use this when I'm playing the game for real, but it's a nice novelty to have. And you get to see the GTA 5 from different angles that you never would normally get to see. So what can you do in first person view? Well, pretty much everything. You can run around, you can aim, and then you can aim down scope, which is clicking in the right hand stick. You can run, you can jump, although it doesn't really look like you're jumping much. And you can do combat rolls, which are disorientating to say the least. But you got the same as before, you can go forward, backwards, left, right, combat rolling. The other thing actually to point out about this is the in cover function, mode, feature, whatever you want to call it. So if I go up to this container and use it as cover, so the default, and I don't understand why they did it this way, the default is I stay in first person mode. What can I do? Well, if I want to look around the corner, it's actually really fiddly to make sure I'm kind of looking in the correct direction, so when I jump out of cover I'm looking in the right way. And of course I can't see actually what's around the corner until I pop out, which from a competitive again point of view is a real weakness, and why would I want to set myself a disadvantage? However, if you go down to the settings, controls, and then first person, third person cover, it's a very long confusing name for an option, you can turn it off. What that basically means is that when you're in cover, you can turn it on, sorry, off is the default. If you turn it on, basically when you're in cover, it goes to third person mode so you can see around the corner, and then when someone pops out, then jump out. You can obviously aim up your sights originally, but as soon as you pop out of cover, you'll go straight back into first person mode. So as I said, don't understand why they didn't put that as the default, but for whatever reason they didn't. Maybe they were trying to go for the most immersive, realistic mode possible. But again, you're just setting yourself at a disadvantage. Also, when you're in first person mode, you can't obviously see, you haven't got much perspective or fielder's view as you would normally in the more zoomed out third person mode. However, you can tweak that to a certain extent. Again, you can go to settings, go to controls. There's an option there called first person on foot field of view. The option name's getting longer and longer. And that's by default in the middle, but you can zoom in a bit or you can zoom out a bit. If I was going to use first person mode, I'd probably zoom that out as far as I can. But then again, why would I just not use third person mode in the first place? Cool, so sticking with the first person theme, obviously in vehicles you've also got first person mode. Again, it's very pretty, all the interiors of the cars have been modelled, including all the planes and boats and everything else. So we'll just go for this with a little drive, check it out, see how it runs. And this is now probably more showing off the next gen graphics more than anything else. And again, I wouldn't actually choose to drive around in this view. I mean, you know, you're substituting an entire screen with a car in it, field of view, for a small slither, especially in the supercars, of windscreen. When you look behind you, it does go back out to sort of third person car view, so that's kind of cool. Otherwise you'd have no hope. But again, by doing it, you're just setting yourself at a disadvantage compared to other players not using it. So if you're in free mode and mucking around, fair enough. You know, of course, you'd want to use it, you want to experience and immersive as much as possible. But if you're in competitive gameplay, you're really going to want to not limit yourself in such a way. Nice little view here of jumping out the car whilst it's still going. I really like that. That looks good. They've really thought about this, obviously, so it is good to see them do all this sort of stuff. As you can see, all the weapons render nicely. We've got the minigun, and actually, while we're here, let's look at the hatchet. As far as I can tell, this is the only new weapon. I might be wrong. I haven't looked into the weapons too much, but the hatchet seems to be definitely be new for the either patch 1.18 or specifically for this PS4, or perhaps it's a pre-order thing. Not really sure. Let me try and trace this guy. Oh man, he seems to be the same speed as me. Okay, one sec. So yeah, it's as I said before, lets you see it from a completely different new perspective. Notice the blood and everything on the hatchet. It's a nice little effect, if not a little bit sadistic. Don't appear to be able to punch them with a gun while they're on the floor, but that might be because it's dead. And just like in third person view, you're as long as you've obviously set it up for full aim assist, then your targeting system will still work, where you can quickly lock on from one target to another target. And just like in the previous patches, shooting the left hand side rear wheel of a car will make it explode pretty quickly. And yeah, so that's pretty much it. Well, I hope you guys found this useful. If you find out anything else that I've missed, feel free to let me know, and if I get enough, I'll put it together into a second video. As usual, your likes and subscribes are much appreciated and help support the channel. And obviously feel free to check out my other videos. Got plenty of strategy mission guides which have all been checked that they're still applicable to the patch 1.18. Tips and tricks videos, speedruns, Cheers guys, thanks for watching.